I replied. I did not do anything wrong, did I? I do not believe that changing anything in our system besides changing the attitudes of people running it can bring us any progress. And I could not believe and I
Mike. It is a national disgrace that the immediate scene for political, social, and economic change be left to its left and leaders. Federalizing the Philippines is the final solution we need. Honorable Board of Judges, impartial moderators, friends from the negative side, brilliant colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, may God's grace be with you this morning. I stand before you to accuse our adversary of tremendously misleading the public with fallacious arguments that gravely endanger our national welfare. The first speaker's argument, ladies and gentlemen, is that he questions the guarantee whether federalism will address the needs of the people. He questions the guarantee whether it can spur economic development. He questions whether it will dissipate the cost of rebellion in the nation. Upon that assertion, ladies and gentlemen, the first non-necessity speaker committed the fallacy of argumentum ad ignorantiam. This fallacy is committed when the speaker assumes that something is true simply because it hasn't been proven. The adoption of a federal form of government will answer these three vital questions, and it therefore maintains that our country will develop its fullest potential. Second, another assertion made by the non-necessity speaker is that he asserts that there is already local autonomy. That is turning tables, ladies and gentlemen. He agrees with us that there is already local autonomy. However, local autonomy in a certain extent that these local governmental units have only limited powers. In a federal form of government, their powers are strictly and concisely defined under the Constitution. They cannot be abolished by the national government. They cannot be dictated by the president because under the federal form of government, they will have full local autonomy. Another issue raised by the non-necessity speaker is that we need to amend the Constitution, strengthen the policies, and enact more enabling laws. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a black and white policy which the speaker presents a situation as having only two alternatives when in fact another alternative exists. Federalism can answer these amendments to the Constitution. Federalism will answer to strengthen the policy of the government, and federalism will enact more laws to protect the cultural minority. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker's presumption of corruption in the Philippines clearly proves that there is real problem within the system. Now let me proceed to the non-beneficiality speaker. The non-beneficiality speaker provides that the allocation for the federal form of government is just a waste of precious government funds. May I just remind the speaker that he commits the policy of hasty generalization. The apportionment and the allocation of governmental funds for us to adopt a federal form of government will spur so much development and will lead to full local autonomy that our local government units would not be dependent to our national government. Another, ladies and gentlemen, that federalism cannot solve the problem in Mindanao. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a fallacy of argumentum ad nauseam, or the argument to point of disgust. This fallacy is committed when the other team has made some assertion, failed to justify it, and stated it again and again. According to the study of various Mindanao professors, the adoption of federalism will ease the burden of terrorism and separatist movements in the area. Another point of the non-beneficiality speaker is that it will provide confusion in the legal aspects by reason that the state will adopt its own constitution and will adopt its own Supreme Court. This is a fallacy of slippery slope. Ladies and gentlemen, slippery slope is an argument that says adopting one policy or taking one action will lead to a series of another policies without showing a causal connection between the advocated policy and the consequent policy. To the non-practicability speaker, ladies and gentlemen, he argues that the manner of constitutional revision is vague and unclear. He therefore commits the fallacy, or the straw man fallacy. This is the fallacy of refuting a caricatured or extreme version of somebody's argument rather than the actual argument that is made. In a constitutional setup, especially upon revising the Constitution, the Constitutional Assembly will provide processes and manners on how to vote in a certain particular provision upon revision of the Constitution. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, is that the absence of racial unanimity and a feasible study for adopting a federal government or system is committed within the bounds of the fallacy of argumentum ad ignorantiam. In the light of this discussion, the negative side failed to prove that the proposition is not necessary, not beneficial, and more so not applicable. They also failed to adduce evidence that would justify their claim not to adopt federalism in the country. Nonetheless, it is crystal clear that the adoption of a federal form of government will lead to the immediate response of countryside development, ensure full local autonomy, and citizens' participation in the government, provide for a solution to end the Mindanao conflict, and effectively deliver the needs and demands of the community, and fulfill their roles